Before we do this, I would just like to tell you guys that this is the first workshop in a series of workshops. So this workshop is focused only on Python basics. The next workshop that we have, it will be data analysis using Python. And then we would have another workshop on data visualizations using Python. And the last one is on machine learning using Python. So there are four separate workshops, one a week. So this is just, you guys have signed up for just one workshop. This is a basic workshop. It is meant for health professionals. Why do we want to do this? Because like everyone has said, that if you want to do data analysis using Python, if you want to do data visualization, if you want to do machine learning, if you want to do natural language processing, if you want to do automation of any task, or if you want to work on Django or Flask, which are basically frameworks of Python to develop applications, websites using Python, you guys need to know the basics of Python as a programming language. So that is why this course has been designed. Without this basic level knowledge, you will be unable to do any data analysis. You will be unable to do the machine learning part. So Python in healthcare has been used for multiple things. It has been used for NLP. NLP is natural language processing. So, for example, if a patient comes to a doctor, that doctor understands the normal human language and interprets what the patient is saying in terms of the symptoms, and then the doctor is able to give certain level of test, and then based on that, the doctor can diagnose. Same thing what Python does is that there are certain packages in Python that convert natural language into computer language, so that the computer can actually understand what the person is saying, and then based on that can lead to inferences. So other than that, for machine learning is a trial and error learning that the computer does. And AI. AI is so machine learning is kind of like a subcategory of AI. AI is artificial intelligence, and AI, as you all know, is now taking up healthcare with a very fast pace, and it's not going to be long before we see automated doctors, we see automated general practitioners, we will see automated pharmacies. We are going in that direction. Filter clinics will definitely be replaced with an automated desktop that helps and guide the patient to what kind of specialty or what kind of test they need to do before they even go to the doctor. So that's on the horizon. That all of that is on the cusp. Similarly, diagnosis and prognosis is going to improve. We have this huge cache of healthcare data coming from EMRs, which is electronic medical record, and EHRs, and all that data can now be analyzed using algorithms. And so people ask me this question: so why can't I do the analysis on SPSS or Python? Problem is that the data that we are now having is big data. Big data has three characteristics. The first characteristic is that big data has very high frequency. It comes in very fast, 10 billion data set points per minute. Then it is of a varied variety. So you can have data coming from CCTV camera, or maybe the telemedicine camera of a doctor. Apart from that, you can have data coming from wearables. You can have data coming from digital steth. You can have data coming from digital ultrasound. And then you have to use that data along with the symptoms that the patient speaks out. And then on top of that, so there is audio data, there is visual data, and then there is variable data. And then also there is data that is mathematical data, which can be categorical or continuous, that is coming from the EMR. Now, adding up all of this data, you can lead to inferences and diagnosis and prognosis. That is exactly where things are going. Now, that cannot be done using a statistical package, a statistical software such as any software, SPSS, Stata, SAS. So then you require algorithms that can do it at a very fast pace, because the data is coming at very fast pace. The data is very variable, and again, like I said, it becomes humanly impossible at a certain point. So we'll be discussing data frames and data analysis in the other workshop that we'll have in February. Lastly, Python is being used to automate routine tasks, various routine tasks. First, the initial step for any system is that initially you digitize the system. So, digitizing the healthcare system means you introduce a electronic medical record or electronic health record. The next thing is you digitize that itself, so no one has to input things into the record. You can just speak, and the computer is going to type it itself. And then based on that, filter out the patients. Based on that, identify alarms, and based on that, identify serious situations in which we need to take certain actions. So that's a brief introduction on how Python is changing the whole healthcare game. And it's massive. And to tell you the truth, even the best of Python programmers don't know everything about Python, because on one hand, you are using Python for developing these frameworks, for developing apps, for developing websites. On other hand, you're using Python for data analysis and visualization, and then on other hand, you're using it for machine learning and AI in so many different areas and so many different sectors. But right now we'll just focus on healthcare throughout this workshop. So, like I said, we have something called as Django and Flask. Django and Flask, these are basically frameworks. Think of these frameworks like, mm, so in Python, we'll discuss on the last day what packages are. We'll also discuss how you can utilize these packages. We also teach you guys how to use these packages. But when we talk about frameworks, so we have two frameworks. One is Django and the other is Flask. They're basically Django is yeah. So the Django framework is basically it's a effective um, in building web apps. It's also helps in developing telemedicine and e-health projects. So and that is where it is being used within healthcare. And Flask, on the other hand, is a Python-based framework, and it is often used for building prototypes of any say you guys are working on developing a new prosthesis for patients, or you guys are developing a new developing a new model for predicting a hotspot of diarrhea occurrence in the city of Karachi. You guys can apply Flask over there as well. So those are some of the things that you can do. It's just giving you a brief insight into this. So why is Python so important for healthcare? And all of a sudden, why is everybody talking about it? That's also one thing. So in healthcare, we have data, and with data comes issues of privacy. With data comes issue of confidentiality, especially in healthcare data, especially what we have seen in US. And Python. The good thing is that Python can be used with different EMRs, and Python has been worked out with the HIPAA compliance. So HIPAA compliance, HIPAA compliance is basically mechanism for uh, it's basically a law that was passed by the U.S. House, so the U.S. Parliament, and basically it focuses on data privacy. It also focuses on utilizing data and keeping the confidentiality, and also it has a technical side to it, and then it also has a legal side to it. So Python has a long history of working with HIPAA compliant, the development of HIPAA compliant solutions via Python. Next thing is Python can be used when you're working with big data, and obviously the performance of the platforms made with Python is good because we can use it with phones, we can use it on web. So those are some of the advantages that when you're working with Python. So, just to give you an insight into what kind of startups, so these are just a few examples. There are many startups that are now almost every other startup is now using some form of machine learning, uh, be it from e marketing, be it from fintechs, financial tech startups. be it from transportation startups. So all of them are using in one way or another, and even Facebook, Google, all of them use machine learning and artificial intelligence in one way or another. All of them use Python in one way or another. So there's a startup called as Rome Analysis. It basically uses machine learning, and what it does is it uses machine learning to identify the diagnosis and the prognosis of diseases based on the data set points. Similarly, there's a startup called as AI Cure. It's NIH and VC funded. VC means venture capitalist funded healthcare startup based in New York, and it basically focuses on automating the processes of ensuring that patients are taking their medication, and that too at the assigned time. So and then there is another startup called as Fathom Health. What it does is that as a healthcare startup, it uses deep learning, and through deep learning, what it is doing NLP, which is natural language processing, and through natural language processing, it is trying to read up on electronic health records so that it can use it as a data form to again do diagnoses and prognosis of various diseases. So that was just a brief insight into what Python has been doing for the past few years, and how we have how Python is shaping up in the past 5 years, especially. Python has changed the game. One of the very big reason why Python is so famous is because Python has got something called as packages. Packages are basically a code that is written in the form of you can call it an aggregation of a code, huge lines of code, and packages are basically directories of that code. So once you apply a package in Python, what it does is that you don't necessarily have to write each and every code. You can just utilize a package, and you can do programming in Python. So in Python की अच्छी बात ये Python is also very easy. Python is again a language that all of you will learn is quite similar to the English language. Before we start off with the installation of Python, I just like to tell you guys that for any programming language, right? If we work on any programming language, so like we work with any, for example, the first time you guys learned the English language, so first you guys learned the ABCD of it, the alphabets of it, and then you guys went on to form words from it, and then you guys utilized grammar in order to use these words. So in Python, we have certain data types. These data types are basically the words. These are the alphabets of Python, the data types. And then in order to use these data types, in order to use these words, these alphabets, Python has a syntax of its own. A syntax is basically the grammar of Python. So we will be focusing very hard on the grammar. We will be focusing very hard on the what are the data types in today's session and also in tomorrow's session. So first thing first, even though all of you have downloaded Python, just for those who have not done it up till now, here is a link I am sharing with you guys in the chat box. If you haven't done it up till now, please do it now, because otherwise this whole workshop will be of no value. So you would have to install Python using this link, and this is a link for PyCharm. What is PyCharm? PyCharm is basically an IDE. An IDE is basically an integrated development environment. Integrated development environment means, you see, in Python, what we are basically doing is that we are basically writing code. You can think of it like this: we are basically writing English, and you can write the code in a text editor. You can write it in Notepad as well, right? But Python integrated development environments are built for Python and for other programming languages such as HTML and C++. Why is it that IDEs are so valuable? Because, well, they help you correct any mistakes that you're making when you're writing the code, so that you remove the bugs very easily from the code that you develop. And also your code doesn't get stuck anywhere. Think of it like this: your this IDE is like using Microsoft Word. So it does a spell check, it corrects the mistakes that you make. So I've shared in the chat box PyCharm and also Python. So if you let me just stop sharing the presentation, and for all those who haven't been able to do it, just so if you just click on the link of Python, this this kind of screen will open up. And from here, you will have to download Python 3.1.1. You can also download it. I hope everyone can see my screen. You guys can download it for Windows. You guys can download it for Linux. You guys can download it for Mac. I hope all of you have done that. I'll not go into the whole process of downloading. And then next up after this, what we're going to do is that I'm just going to showcase how PyCharm looks like. So PyCharm, like I said, it's an IDE and integrated development environment. So this is a link for downloading PyCharm for Windows. So if you go into PyCharm, there are two versions that are available. I hope all of you can see my screen. One is the community version, other is the professional version. You guys can just download the community version for this course. That would be more than enough. And that's it. So once you have downloaded that, and once you have downloaded Python and PyCharm, then the next thing is that we're going to start working with PyCharm. So Python, once it's installed in your computer, the next thing, just a brief insight into what PyCharm is. So yeah, it helps to correct errors, guides on the code. And so now what we'll do is that we'll open up PyCharm and then we'll create a new project in PyCharm. So I want all of you to go to your taskbar. So let me run it with you. Yeah, even if you have downloaded the free trial version, professional version of PyCharm, still it can work because Ushad is for a whole month, so you don't have to necessarily worry about it. So I hope all of you can see my screen. So if I search, if I just type PyCharm in the search box, if you're using Windows, or you can just go to programs, and here you can also look up PyCharm. Uh, Easiest way is just to search PyCharm from here. So if I search PyCharm, here is what I get, a community edition. So if you click on it, PyCharm will open in your computer. It will look something like this. It will actually look something like this. There might be some code written here, so you don't have to worry about it. It will look something like this. So even if it doesn't, so this is what you have to do. You have to go into File. In File, you will click on New Project. I hope all of you can see my PyCharm, and in that, you guys will choose interpreter, Python as your interpreter, right? And then you will just create. So let me repeat it again for अगर यहाँ से कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा. Here you go. So open up PyCharm, go into create new project. You name the project anything, you can name it after yourself. Then it's gonna ask about location in interpreter. You can save it on the desktop or anywhere you like. And then you have to click on Python version 3. Sometimes previous versions of Python might be installed in your computers, especially if you're using a Mac. So don't worry about it. You can use just Python version 3 through this. Okay, so there are other IDEs as well for Python. One is Idle, other is Eclipse, another one is Spider. We'll also work on some notebooks. So notebooks are also a kind of IDE, integrated development environment. So we'll on the fourth day we'll work with Jupyter Notebook. So these are also, so Idle comes in with Python installation as well. You guys can use Spider. अगर आपने install किया है Anaconda, तो you will get Spider and you'll also get Jupyter Notebook in that. And then we'll go to writing our first code. So I'll just stop sharing here, go to PyCharm. So if you have created the project, it will look something like this. If there's anything written here, don't worry about it. Just highlight it and then delete. That's it. You clean up the console. So can everyone see a console like this? If you cannot, then let me know. I'll help you out. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to write our first program. What we're going to do is that we're going to ask Python to print hello world. That's our first program. So basically the command that we'll give is that we'll write print and then we'll open parenthesis and then we'll write hello world. Hello. Now you can see that why is it that we have to write it like this? Because this is the syntax of Python. You have to open the parenthesis, and in that you have to write down these quotation marks. And then once you have written it, then you have to click on this play button on the right side, on the top right side. I hope all of you can see this. If you click on this, it's going to print hello world. So you can see here it's printing hello world. Who okay, you were Dr. Ali, you were not able to create the project. It's simple. You have to go on file, you have to go on new project, and in that you location, whatever location that you want to place it within the computer, you can place it. And then or if predefined कोई और आ रहा है तो वहीं पे आप कर दें इसको. And then interpreter and then you can choose, here you go, drop down में Python version 3. So and then you just have to click on create and then you can open up a window like this. How many of you were able to create a project? Can you please raise your hand? And how many of you have been able to type hello world? Let's see a raise of hands. Okay, Farhan is saying he can do it. What is the issue that you are having? Can't yet. Okay. So
Actually, my computer is currently under control of the remote assistance by IT, so I can't do anything. I'm unable to do anything. जैसे ही मुझे राइट मिलेगा मैं काम कर सकता हूँ. So अभी IT के कंट्रोल में है कंप्यूटर.
so do you have in any other laptop on which you can work? Any other device? Because वो IT control में आगे आपने anacondas भी use करने होंगे तो you might have a problem with that. So it is okay. A lot of you are having problems. It is okay. It is day one. It is okay even if you are unable to do a lot of things. Sort this out today so that when you come in tomorrow, we can solve this. So make sure that you have a computer that has functional PyCharm, that has a functional Python version 3.8. We'll also be sharing the recording of today's session so you can also follow it up in case you have a problem. So someone is saying done. Um, my computer is still downloading. That is what Mariam is saying. Uh, okay, yeah, sure. So how do we create a project? We go on file, we go on new, and then in that you can choose a location wherever you want to paste it, right? Wherever you want to save the yeah, project, and then you can create the project. So because I already created a project, so I'm just gonna go for a new window. So it's gonna create a new project. Already मैंने interpreter assign किया हुआ था. Interpreter के अंदर आपने करना होता है, you have to go into the interpreter and you have to click on Python version 3. So it's creating a new project here. So it takes a while. You don't have to, don't worry about it. Okay, so Dr. Ali is saying it works well. Mohammed Zishan is saying that I installed yesterday, but it is not working. What is not working? देखिए Python तो install हो गई है ना. So PyCharm is a simple installation, and on top of that, you have to open up the project. So if you're having a problem in opening up the project, like it's taking a while on my computer as well. So don't worry about it. It takes a while, but then it opens up. Um,
सॉरी सॉरी हसन,
जी जी.
आई हैव इंस्टॉल्ड येस्टरडे, आई हैव डाउनलोडेड, बट जब मैं आज इसको चला रहा हूँ तो वो दोबारा से इंस्टॉल कर रहा है. आई डोंट नो ये मैंने कहीं गड़बड़ की है कुछ.
It's okay. अगर वो जब once you have completed the installation of Python and PyCharm, so here you go. Like जब मैंने install अपने पास जो नया project खोला, it looks something like this. I hope all of you get to see something like this. So even if you are having a problem today, it's okay. Just install PyCharm. And once you have installed PyCharm, what you do next is that you start to work with it. So the first code that we write, we'll write it in a project. So we need to create the project. How do we create a project? Simply go in File, New Project, and then or you can just go in File and then New, and in that you can choose what you want to create. But complex नहीं करने आसान रखें इसको. Just go in File, New Project, and then like I just created a project just now. So even if you're having a problem today, it is okay. It is difficult to work with coding. I have had difficulty myself. So it's okay. It's a trial and error, and it takes a while to learn. Now, if you guys can see a screen something like this, what you have to do is that you have to clear up the screen, just delete it. And then what you have to do is that you have to print hello world. How do you do that? So I'm just going to close because I have two PyCharm windows open. So I'll just close this one, main, and I'll just come back here. And then what we will do is that, and you guys will be seeing something like this, right? So what you have to do is that you have to type in print, P-R-I-N-T. Print is a command. So we are giving Python a command to print. Print what? So we open parentheses and we want to write hello world. So once we open parentheses, then what we do is that we open up quotation marks. Why is that we open up quotation marks? Whenever we are working with strings, strings are specific type of data, so which basically include if you use any alphabets, or if we use any other for example at the rate sign or static sign, or if we use any other word format that is not quantifiable, that is basically a string. So in that we write hello, leave a gap, and then world. Anything I write in between these quotation marks, Python knows that it's a string. So it's just going to print whatever that is written in between this. So how do I print this? How do I run this code? In order to run this code, I click on this play button. यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ आ रहा है run. So it runs here, and up, if you just move it up, on the lower end, you see this console. And look, Python is just printed hello world. I could also print something like print, and I could just print hello Hassan. You guys can do the same. You guys can just print your name. Now it's printing hello world and hello Hassan. So this is
अच्छा साहब
basically,
ये
yeah.
सॉरी ये जो parentheses और quotation marks हैं ये आप कीबोर्ड से लेकर आ रहे हैं या खुद ब खुद आते हैं
ये कीबोर्ड से आते हैं, but so what happens is that if I write print, and so it gives me this kind of like idea, this IDE, it can have a parenthesis, and those parentheses could have multiple things. So if I just click on this as well, it opens up the parentheses like this, or I can do it from my keyboard as well. So if I just click on the parentheses, I press shift and I press the number 9, because on top of 9 we have the bracket mark. So something like this appears. And then if I have to put in parentheses again, so what I do is that I can just click on the parentheses that is the quotation mark that is available on the keyboard. So I'm doing it from the keyboard. I will request everyone to do it from the keyboard. You can click on it also, but it's better you do it from the keyboard because we will be working a lot on the keyboard. So I want you guys to be familiar with it. So I can write here um, Python workshop, Python basics workshop. Now it's printing all three of these. It's printing hello world, it's printing hello Hassan, it's printing Python basics workshop. Who can type the uh, print command? Who was able to type the print command of Python? Can you please raise your hands? Who was able to do that? All of you. So there's a raise hand option. If you go into the chat box, it gives you that option of raise hands. Okay. So Mohammed Zishan is saying no. Ali Amar is saying yes. Done. So I hope a lot of you have been able to type the print command and then were able to execute the command as well. How do you execute it? You execute it by clicking on this play button, which is the run command. Great. So Afshan was also able to do it. Ali was also able to do it. Dr. Zishan, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. It's day one. I, a lot of you might be having problems in installing and then working with PyCharm. It's okay. हमने prerequisite में भी इसीलिए दिया था because this is the same problem that we had with participants last time. But this just happens on day one. You guys are gonna cover it up, so don't worry about it. So anyone who has written hello world, you have basically created your first Python program. So congratulations on creating your first Python program. So hats off to you all. So I'll stop sharing the console, and then what I'll do is that, yeah, so if it's saying that no Python interpreter, so जब आप project बना रहे हैं ना, तो project के अंदर you have to click on interpreter. So there will be a drop down, and on the drop down menu you have to click on Python version 3. So on the drop down menu you have to click on, let me show it on the PowerPoint presentation as well. So we are back to the presentation. You guys have created your first Python program called Hello World. So guys, we'll take a break at 4:15 and then we'll join at 4:30. So you guys will have 15 minutes to install Python as well. So you guys can do it in that time as well. So every day we'll have 15-minute break in this 3-hour session, so that अगर आपने नमाज पढ़नी है, तो you guys can pray in that time period, and also you guys can have a tea break in that time period. So if you're installing Python PyCharm, so once you have installed PyCharm, you open up PyCharm and then you click on new project. And then, so if you click on new project, then you name the project anything you like. Then first you have to tell Python the location. So I made a folder on my desktop. You guys can make it anywhere. And then you have to tell Python the interpreter. Interpreter Python version 3. That's the interpreter. Python version 3. Just click, there's a, if you click on the drop down, इस तरह की sign बनी होगी. If you click on it, it's going to showcase the interpreter, and then you can just use it from there. So you guys basically went on and typed your first Python code, your first Python program, which was basically a simple, very simple, basic Python program that tells Python to print "Hello World." This was actually the first program that was developed when we started out with programming languages way back in the 1960s and 70s. So it's a customary thing that whenever you're working with any programming language, the first thing you do is that you type "Hello World." So hello world is nothing more than a simple string, a simple, it could be any word in place of hello world. So you run it, and if you run it, then it will showcase in the app that you have developed. Next thing what we'll do is that we're going to create a shape. um, what kind of shape we'll create? We're going to create a triangle. So what I'll do is, for helping you guys out, I'm just going to copy and paste it here in the chat box. I'm also gonna copy and paste print. So I'm just gonna type it here. So if any one of you is having a problem, so you guys can just use this print hello world, and this this is a code for making a shape on Python. So say, so the first code that we wrote in Python, we basically printed out hello world, or we printed out our name. The next code that we're going to work on, we're going to start by just drawing a simple shape, and the shape is going to be a triangle. So what we'll do is, so have you installed Python, Farhan Saab? You will have, I hope you have installed Python in your computer. Have you installed the Python programming language?
Yes, तीनों चीजें की हुई हैं लेकिन I don't know गलती कर रहा हूँ.
So in the break now from 4:15, you can share your screen, and then I'll look at it.
ठीक
Okay.
है फिर स्क्रीन शेयर किस तरह जूम पे या
जी Zoom पे ही, I'll teach you, कोई मसला नहीं.
अच्छा ठीक है.
So let me just go back to the Python IDE, which is PyCharm, and here you go. So we basically printed out these. So I'm just going to clear it up. And then what I'm going to do is, मैंने अभी आपसे code share किया है, मैं यहाँ पे share कर रहा हूँ इसको. Basically, I want to print out something called as something like a triangle. So in this triangle, what I do is that first I write down print. ये मैंने किस तरह से किया है? First I wrote down print, and then I opened parentheses, and then I put in inverted commas, and then I left spaces, 3 spaces, then I put in backslash, and then after that put in 1, and then I wrote a second command. Again I wrote print, open parentheses, backslash, left space, and then 1, and then again print, parentheses, backslash, gap 1, and the last one I wrote print, open parentheses, inverted commas, so ____1. So if I just run this, it's gonna print out 2 triangles. एक तो वही है जो मैंने copy paste करके आपको दिया, and then I just wrote 1 here. So you guys can actually create a shape. It's a very simple form of shape. So as a lesson, what you guys can do today is that once you go home, you practice out this print command, and then you also practice out developing different shapes. So if you guys go on Google, you can print out different shapes on Python. So you can just type on Google how to print out different shapes on Python using PyCharm, and you will get different codes. You can use that code to develop different shapes. So we'll randomly pick one of you tomorrow morning, tomorrow in the start of the day two, and then we'll ask one of you to create a shape on Python. So we have some things. Zubina is saying we have installed everything. The problem is that we don't have administrative rights, still unable to access PyCharm. That's the problem. We last time also we had some people who were using their work computers. For work computers, just ask your IT people, just call them up and tell them that I want to install this. Once you install PyCharm, and once you install Python and Anaconda, then majority of the issues that you'll have with your computer are gone. Then you will be able to work with PyCharm. You don't require necessarily administrative rights to use PyCharm. So, but definitely you require administrative rights to install PyCharm, because you, if you're using your work computer, then anything you install, you'll require administrative rights to it. Um, in case you are having a problem, so then what you can do, so okay, you got it, finally got it. Okay. So in case you're having any problem, what you can do is that you can do it on your personal laptop as well. So today, when you go back after, like I said, we keep day one as chill as possible, so that these kind of things can be solved on day one. We teach basic level codes on day one. So the first code that we taught you was how to print a string, a simple string called as hello world. The next, we printed out a shape, which was basically a simple triangle. You guys can print out other shapes as well, and you guys can see in the console down here that the shapes are printed out. You guys can print out any other shape you like. You guys can print out a pyramid. uh, I hope prints that out, because I think वो उसको pick करा as a code, but let's see if we can do that. So if I print the string, yeah, so it's giving a syntax error because it's taking this backslash, this forward slash as a code. So we can apply something else here as well. So if you apply 0, 0, 0, just that, then and if you print this, so we get a pyramid. You guys can print anything you like. Use anything. You guys can use any number. You can use any alphabet, as long as it is written in a parenthesis and as long as it is written in quotation marks. So here we will take a break for 15 minutes. If any one of you is still having a problem in installing PyCharm, in starting up a project on PyCharm, do it. I am also here for 5 to 10 minutes. So yes, so if any one of you wants to, so I'll stop sharing my screen. So if anyone of you is having a problem and wants to share their screen and ask, they can share their screen. Here you go.
Uh,
Hassan, sorry,
Yeah.
can you please share the uh, point where you have the commands for the PyCharm project?
Sorry, commands for the. Can you repeat the question again?
Yes. I was asking Hassan, is it possible if you can share the instructions, like those couple of slides where you tell us how to start the PyCharm project,
Yeah, yeah, sure.
what commands to give?
This one. You want to look at the IDE or you want to look at the PowerPoint presentation?
No, the PowerPoint presentation, and the
Yeah.
reason is because I just got my PyCharm installed,
Okay. Yeah, so here you
and
go.
it's working now. So yes, this part. Can we just keep the screen?
Sure, sure, no problem.
Yeah. Okay.
So Yeah, someone has raised their hand. So Dr. Afsha has raised her hand. Or is it from previously you had risen your hand? Dr. Afsha, you want to say something? You can say it, or you can lower your hand. One person was having a problem in the chat box. I read
Hassan,
Yeah,
I am unable to share the screen with you. Reason
because
being, I'm
I'll have to
using
stop sharing.
no, it's not that. I'm using Zoom on a cell phone and using this PyCharm on my office
Okay,
PC.
okay,
So, I cannot share the screen with you. And I've asked the IT guy to look into this thing again. So, वो Python दोबारा से डाल रहे हैं इसमें.
sure, sure. So it's
PyCharm और Anaconda तो हो गया है. लेकिन Python ना होने की वजह से I think interpreter नहीं काम कर रहा था.
बिल्कुल जी जी, because you see Python is the main programming language. So chahe Anaconda is just a distribution. Think of Anaconda like a software that works on Python, right? So but Python is the main
वैसे ये
programming language.
Python, Anaconda सब सांप ही हैं. So,
Yeah. Yeah, actually Anaconda is great because आप देखेंगे इसको हम day 4 पे आपको दिखाएंगे. Anaconda से आपके options बहुत ज़्यादा हैं.
okay.
PyCharm अगेन प्रोफेशनल वर्जन आप यूज़ करें बहुत अच्छा है. PyCharm पे और HTML की भी प्रोग्रामिंग हो सकती है, Python की प्रोग्रामिंग हो सकती है. Just get the hang of it today. It's okay if you
Yes.
are overwhelmed by the code. It's okay if there are too many instructions. It's okay. पर ये पूरी वर्कशॉप हैंड्स ऑन है. मज़े की बात ये है कि आप चाहें ना चाहें आप आखिर में सीख ही जाएंगे. So yeah, so let's just
Thank
take
you.
a break. So this screen is on. I'll stop with the video, and I'll stop with the. I'll also mute my mic. Just I hope all of you were able to write down print word. Some of you weren't able to do that. It is okay. Just follow the presentation. It's day 1 of Python. A lot of you are going to have problems. It is okay. This is basic coding. So we are coming from a healthcare background. It becomes difficult. You can take all the time in the world on day 1. It is okay. Once you print, you write down your first Python program, which is print hello world. Then we wrote our second Python program, because basically was that we created a shape. So we created a triangle, and then your homework for today is that you have to create any shape for tomorrow other than a triangle. And so we'll randomly pick out one of you tomorrow, and then we're going to ask you to show us that through shared screen. So you will share your screen, and you will show with us what shape you guys develop. So yeah, someone has raised their hands. Mohammed, you want to say something? जिसका hand raised है. जी Mohammed Wasi. Wasi, you want to say something? We can't hear you. So no, sir. Okay. Okay. So now let's talk about the different data types in Python. Because when we are working with Python, then we need to know what are the alphabets that we're going to work with. What are the words that we're going to work with. So Python data types are basically a few types. First off, we have numerics. So numerics are basically numbers. They are integers. Integers mean 1, 2, say it. Or they can be floats. Floats can be um, 1.2, 3.1, something with decimal. And then there are complex numbers. Sometimes numbers are written like this, 3%, 4. This is a modular operator. We'll discuss what it is, hopefully today. Um, and then, so these are basically numerics. In essence, they use numbers. Then we have another data type in Python. And the next data type in Python that we have is a dictionary. A dictionary is basically written like this. It's written in a curved bracket, and it's a key value match pair. What does that mean? Like a dictionary, so you put in a word. So the word is, say, we say any word which means, say the word is Pakistan, right? And so first thing is Pakistan, and it's a key value match pair. So then you have a key, and then it's going to describe Pakistan. So Pakistan is a country with this. So this is the value of Pakistan. So Pakistan, a word is the key, and Pakistan has a population of 143 million, situated in South Asia. So that is the value of Pakistan. So dictionaries are basically key value match pairs, key value. And then there is a specific syntax of writing dictionaries in Python. We'll discuss that on tomorrow, hopefully. Then the next thing that we have are booleans. Booleans are, what are booleans? Booleans are basically yes, no, no की जगह यहाँ पे होता है not. Booleans में included होता है and, or. In Python we use that, and or. In Python we use yes and no. And then booleans में हम एक और चीज़ भी use करते हैं if. सही है. If statements are used in Python a lot. If this is this, then do this. If this is this, then do this. So if statements are used in Python, say else statements are used in Python, else, ELSE. These are all booleans. एक और होती है else if, else if. These statements are also used. So these are some of the booleans that are used in Python. Then on top of that, what we have something called as sets. Sets are basically data frames and matrices. So data frames and matrices. Matrices are basically lists that are arranged on one on top of the other. Then we have the sequence type data. Sequence type data mein first we have strings. Strings are basically written in parentheses, in quotation marks, and then is basically nothing more than words, right? And strings are simply variables that do not have a numeric value, but they're written like that. And then we have something called as tuples right here. So tuples, and then we have something called as lists. Lists are written in block bracket like this. And in that block bracket, we can have numeric list, or we can also have list of strings. So lists can have both numeric or, but they are always written in block brackets. It's basically list is a type of arranging data. So say if the alphabets were strings or if the alphabets were numeric, a list is a way of arranging data. Similarly, tuples is written in parentheses, and tuples can then contain other parentheses, and those can then contain strings. So tuples are also a way of arranging data arrangement. Similarly, booleans are different data type. They're yes, no, don't know. Dictionaries are also a way of arranging data in a curved bracket with key value match pairs. So those are in essence the data types of Python that we use. So is there any question regarding the data types? We will be using all of these data types throughout the 4 days that we'll be working in Python. So don't worry about it. You'll be working with ample amounts of all of these. There are other things as well that we'll work with, something called as functions and stuff. So yes, so Dr. Azim has raised his hands. Please go ahead.
Hi, could you please explain what sets are again?
Yeah, sets are basically similar to lists, in which what we have is that we have data that is arranged in a deck-like fashion. So, for example, a list on top of the list on top of the list. So, what that does is called as a two-dimensional list. So, what that does is that that's a way of arranging data. Why is it that we arrange data like that? Because you see, when you're working with Python, then we are not just working with simple numbers. We are also working with very complex form data. So a data can only be arranged in the form of a set, or data that can only be arranged in the form of booleans, or data that can only be arranged in the form of tuples. So we'll use that as you move along, and you guys will understand from that as well. I hope that was answerable. The sets also include matrices. So matrices are also data frames that are arranged. So data frame is basically, in essence, a way of you arranging data. And matrix, matrix, matrix is basically two-dimensional data arrangement in kind of like a block fashion. So can you explain dictionary? Yeah, dictionary is basically a key value match pair. So say we have this curve bracket and this curve bracket. So in that, what we have is that we have a key value match pair. So one key is that, say we write down JAN, Jan, and Jan basically means the month of January, so complete January. Then we write Feb, and then Feb basically is February, the whole month of February. So uh, a, a key followed by a value, a key followed by a value. They can be thousands of keys and values attached together in a dictionary. We'll discuss that when we go through dictionary. Yes, someone has raised their hand. Okay,
Um, can I ask a question?
Gigi, please.
So, what is difference between a dictionary and Boolean?
Say it. So
Sorry.
yeah, thank you for that question. So dictionary is basically, now we have a key value match pair. So you see we have a key, like मैंने बोला ना short में लिखा हमने Jan, and then the value is that it is the first month of the year, basically that is the value. February, second month of the year. March, third month of the year. The value is whatever that is written afterwards, right? That is what a dictionary is. It's a way of arranging data in Python. Boolean, on the other hand, are if statements. If, else, if, or there is another statement like yes, no. We will use these. Once we use these, you will understand why these are so valuable. You'll understand why they are so powerful. Literally, once we start to apply some functions, we'll learn what functions are in tomorrow's session. So in that, we will go through, we'll be using booleans off and on, if, else, if, yes, no, and so there will be a lot of that. So yes is used, not is used. So we'll go through it and we'll learn from it. So don't worry about it. It's just day one. This is just an introduction of these data types. Now let's write more code. Let's go back and start writing more code. Now what we're going to do now is, so sequence is basically it's not a specific type of data within Python. Is basically arrangement of data that happens. So sequence is like a broader category. So when data is arranged in a sequence, is basically called as sequence, and a sequence means one after the other. In strings, you will see that one string follows the other string follows the other string. List में भी ऐसे होता है. List में there is one list after the other, and then tuples के अंदर भी ऐसे होते हैं, one tuple after the other. Um, it's okay if you're finding it difficult right now. We will go along with this, so you don't have to worry about it. What I want you guys to do now is that I want you guys to write a bit of code. Let me just first take you through the presentation, and then so this is what we will do now. You guys, all of you, mostly all of you, have already opened up your you guys have mostly opened up your PyCharm. So I want you guys to write down a simple variable. Let's create a variable. Now, what's a variable? When we are working with different data sets, so anything that within the data that is varied, that can be changed, that can be anything, is called as a variable. Now variable, mostly the type of variables that we use are either of the string type or of the numeric type. And in numeric they can be integers and they can be floats. Floats are basically ones with decimal points. So what I want you to do now is that I want you to create a variable. Let's say you create a variable called as character name. You can name it, just write down name. Name is equals to open. Now once we are writing, once we are doing the print command, so with the print command we had to use these parentheses, but we don't have to do it with variables. In variables we start off by writing equal to sign and then say there is a name written called as Izan. Izan basically is the name of my nephew, so I just wrote it down. You guys can write your own name, whatever you like, but whatever name that you write, you have to write it in quotation marks. Say you can have one quotation mark or two quotation marks, it doesn't matter. Python accepts both. Similarly, age, again you don't have to write the whole character age, just age. Age is a variable. Age is equals to 1. You can name it ABCDXYZ, doesn't really matter. And 1 because uski age 1 hai to isliye maine yahan 1, like you guys can give any age you like, right? And then what we're going to do is that we're going to create a statement. We're going to create a print command in which we're going to say that there once was a boy named. So because this is a string, so it's written in inverted commas. And then after that, we'll add a plus sign and we'll add this variable that we created, this name variable that we created. Just we'll write down name, right? And then we'll add another plus sign. And then अगर हमने उसके आगे कुछ और लिखना है तो इसमें मैंने यहाँ कॉमा डालना था, तो इसलिए मैंने parenthesis में quotation marks में करके लिख दिया. Next thing, I write down another line. So then again the name of the character plus liked his name. So Izan liked his name. And then you write down another thing, another line, which is he was plus the age, so whatever the age was, plus years old, so he was 1 year old. And then we write down another statement, which is he did not like being, and then the age, which was 1, and then the number of years old. So let me just go to PyCharm so that now you'll understand how variables are used. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just copy this and I'm gonna share with you guys. Here you go. So I've shared it in the chat box as well, so you can use it in your PyCharm. The reason I'm sharing it in the PyCharm so that you guys can have a easier time with writing code, but you guys can type it as well. So I'm just pasting it here. So what I basically wrote was, say यहाँ पे सिर्फ नेम छोड़ देता हूँ, यहाँ भी सिर्फ नेम छोड़ देता हूँ, ईजान को 1 की जगह 3 कर देता हूँ, whatever. The reason why I want you guys to write this is that I want to teach you guys there are two types of variables, numeric variables and string variables. Whenever we write down these variables, we use an equal to sign and then after that we write it. सही है? Because मैंने यहाँ पे name को name किया तो इसलिए मैं यहाँ भी इसको name कर देता हूँ. Why is it that मैं, क्योंकि जो भी कुछ मैंने वहाँ पे ऊपर mention किया है ना, मैं उसी तरह से मुझे यहाँ पे करना पड़ेगा name. अब मैं बताता हूँ why do we use it. Say we are writing 10,000 lines of code, right? There are 10,000 lines, right? And a specific variable keeps on repeating itself. यहाँ तो सिर्फ नाम था ना, it could be anything else. So say it repeats itself. So if I run this code, right, this is what it runs. I hope all of you can see my console. So there once was a boy named Izan. So Izan liked his name. He was 3 years old. He did not like being 3 years old. Now, why do we do this? Because say if I replace Izan with say Hassan, here you go. And if I replace 3 with 33 and I run the code again. Now you see, there once was a boy named Hassan. He liked his name. So basically what is happening is कि कि हमने पहले एक वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया, देन वी गेव अ प्रिंट कमांड. यू कैन राइट एनीथिंग यू लाइक हियर. You can say there once was a man, or you can anything. There once was an alien, whatever. So what this basically does is that variables help us achieve something. So once we create a variable and then we give the variable a value. So first we give the variable any name. So whatever is written first is the name. So and then we put a equal to sign after that, and then we write down in the quotation marks whatever the value that we want to assign. So at this point, Python is basically looking at both of them and seeing a string because we are using these quotation marks. So and then say I put in a command of print and I add the variable here. So फायदा क्या होता है वेरिएबल को. Say this code was like 10,000 lines, right? So I just have to change it one time here, and then everything changes below. Similarly, if I just have to change this number here, and every place where there was age changes. इससे क्या होता है? Otherwise we'll have to do it throughout the code. That is why variables are so important. You guys can type in your name, you guys can type in your age. You guys should basically be able to, if you have typed it, so you can also type print and say I want to create a new name. This time around I want to create a new age. I gave it age 2 and equal to sign, and then inverted commas, and then age 2 is 78, right? And then say I print the same thing. अब देखें क्या होगा. नीचे वाले के अंदर आपके पास एज जो है वो चेंज नहीं, वो इसलिए चेंज नहीं हुई बिकॉज सही मैंने इसको एज 2 नहीं किया. तो आपने वेरिएबल का नाम सही लिखना है. ये कर दिया मैंने वेरिएबल का नाम. नीचे देखें क्या होगा. इट्स द सेम कोड. पहले 33 एंड देन इट चेंजेस टू 78 बिकॉज वाई. जैसे ही हमने एक नया वेरिएबल ऐड किया, उस वेरिएबल के नीचे जितनी भी जगह पे वो वेरिएबल शो हो रहा है, it changes, but the variable is written on top, and then any command that is given is written below that. So variables are used in when we are working with functions. They're used with loops. They're used with if and but statements. We'll be working with loops on day 3 as well. So you guys will learn from that. So I want one of you to share with me the screen in which you guys have written your own, developed your own variable. I'm thinking is you can name this variable anything you like, right? So yes, please, Dr. Azim, go ahead.
Oh, 1 second. I haven't created it. I'm just going to. Can I have
Sure,
like
sure.
2 minutes?
So
Thank
if
you.
yeah, and anyone else wants to share it, I'll just stop sharing so that you guys can share your console, and let's see what kind of variables you develop and how you use it with the print command. This is again a basic level Python program that you have developed. You developed a variable, and with that variable you basically applied the print command. So up till now we have covered just a simple print command. You guys wrote your first Python program called as hello world, and then after that what you guys did was you guys worked with drawing a shape on Python, on PyCharm, and then next thing what you did was we are now working with variables, and in those variables you guys created two variables, and you guys basically changed those variables. So okay, great. Dr. Amar shared something. Yeah. So and you can even change the, like there once was a boy ki jagah you can write anything you like. It's up to you. That's the beauty of writing code. So there was a patient named blah blah blah. The patient was suffering from this. The patient was aged this. You can change it into a student. You can. This is basically a print command. You can write anything you like. So yeah, you guys have. So thank you so much for that, Ali. Awesome. If anyone else would like to share the variables that they created in a print command. So Asif is also sharing. Okay, great. So again, so Izan, and then he created two ages. Awesome, awesome. So you guys can create as many variables as you like and develop as many commands for that variable as you like. And we can, wow, that is great. So who is sharing right now? Who is sharing right now? Dr. Afsha. Sahi hai, zabardast. Thank you, Dr. Afsha. This is great. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. I can you stop sharing? So if anyone else wants to share, they can also. But um, we are at 5, so we need to move ahead. Dr. Azim wants to. Azim, you want to share something?
Apologies, I'm still making it,
Oh,
but
it's
thank you.
okay. You can share it later as well. You just take your time. So yeah. So Dr. Afshan, can you please stop sharing your screen? Just click on the share screen and yeah, awesome. So guys, I think you guys are moving ahead. It's great the way you guys are getting geared with Python. So the good thing is that with numbers, you don't require as such quotation marks. You can just write down the numbers without quotation marks as it is. So you can just write down like say, so say you were writing a number, right? So I was writing a number such as age is equals to, I can write down as 1. I can also write on 3 is equals to. Any numeric, you don't necessarily have to put it in the inverted commas, because inverted commas may, why we do it, because um, we basically want to tell Python that it is a string. Okay, so now we're going to work with strings, right? And then we're going to work with numbers, and then, okay, so let's look at strings further. So what you guys can do is that you guys can create a new variable and you guys can name it as phrase. And in that phrase, you guys can just type, and I want you guys to do it with me. So just type in your, so whenever we put this sign, this mark, this backslash, it makes any character that follows it to be taken literally. So if you put in a backslash and then we write after that, say, uh, quotation marks, right? So they are taken literally as quotation marks. They're not thought of by Python as, okay, a string is starting. Because otherwise Python will think कि भाई अगर ये नहीं है and just these quotation marks है. So without this, the quotation mark, basically Python thinks कि okay, a new string is starting, so that's why quotation mark डाला गया. But if you put in this backslash, so उससे Python को नहीं लगता है कि is basically something that can be taken literally. Okay. Now, the next thing is I want you guys to create a variable and you can name it as phrase, or you can name it anything you like, right? मैंने यहाँ पे phrase उसको name कर दिया is equals to, and then I've just written my whole name, Hassan Nawaz Tahir, and I've written it in small letters, and I've written it by opening parentheses, closing parentheses, and in that I have used inverted commas, right? Now, there are some functions in Python in which you can convert the string into uppercase and lowercase. So, this is a command. So, first you will develop the variable. Once you guys write down the variable, you can just put in your name. And then what you do is that you print this command. So, you write down print, and then you open the parenthesis and you write down the name of the variable. Now, you see, there is no need for quotation marks here and here. Why? Because this is a variable. This is not a string. This is not just a simple alphabetical character. Python understands that it's a variable. Why? Because you have already written it on top. So there's something called as variable dot lower command. What is that? So you open parentheses, you write down phrase, then you write down dot, then you write down the lower, lower, and then you open and close parentheses, and then you overall close the main parentheses. If you, after that, if you click on the play button, what you will do is that you will see that all the names, all the alphabets are turned into lowercase. If you put it into phrase dot upper, everything will be turned into uppercase. If say you write down, say this was written like this, Hassan, right? And if I said phrase is upper, say, so basically what I'm asking Python is, tell me if there is any uppercase in this. So if this was uppercase, Python would say yes. In the console, this is what will come out, yes. Similarly, length. Length is basically, so if I write down print and then I write down length, len, and then I open the parentheses, I write down the variable name, which is phrase, and then I close the parentheses. And if I execute this command, it's going to tell me how many characters are there in Hassan Nawaz Tahir. Similarly, there is a command called as print. So we'll also run these together, so don't worry about it. I'm going to share them in the chat box as well. So then there is a command called as print and phrase, and then we use something called as a square bracket. A square bracket is like it looks like a block, right? And in that we write down anything, but it has to be a number, right? This is basically showcases a list, right? Now, once I do that, I'm basically asking Python to look at index position 0. This will give the first letter of the phrase. Now, what does that mean? Well, if this is written, Hassan, right? So this is the phrase, right? So for Python, this position, this index position is 0. Python always starts with 0. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. And if you're starting, ये तो हम यहाँ से करें. If you're starting from this end, then this position is -1, this is -2, this is -3, this is -4, this is -5. Whenever you're starting from the right side, we all start with 0. This is the Python syntax. अच्छा, तो जब हम यहाँ पे लिखते हैं 0, it basically will showcase या print कर देगा, 1 को print कर देगा. You're asking Python to print the variable, and in the variable only print whatever character is at index position 0, which is basically h. There's also a command called as print phrase.index, and in that we open up the inverted comma and then we write down n. Say n यहाँ पे हम इसलिए लिख रहे हैं, n is basically nothing more than a string. It could be a, it could be h, whatever. ये बेसिकली हमें बताता है कि n की पोजीशन इसमें किधर है, हसन में किधर है. So Hassan asked में, so it will tell us the position where the string starts. So we'll run these together as well. So and then there is another thing phrase के साथ जो हम करते हैं, which is print phrase dot replace. इसमें क्या करते हैं, we write down say the first phrase and then we write down the second phrase. Basically this will replace the first phrase with the second phrase. So that is what is happening. So I hope this was a bit understandable. Let's just work with Python IDE so that you guys understand this better. So what I'll do is I'll pick up all of these commands, this up as well, and then first copy it and paste it here in the chat so that you guys can use it. Here you go. So let's just work with simple things, right? So let me stop sharing this, go to Python IDE. Here you go, I clear this up. And then I write down, so first thing first, I'll write down a phrase, right? So variable always comes on top. So यहाँ पे तो मैंने phrase लिखा है ना, तो I can make it variable, right? Equal to sign, and then I open up quotation marks and I write down Hassan Nawaz Tahir. Just my name. You guys can write down my name, right? And let's say I just clear this out. अभी मुझे इसकी ज़रूरत नहीं. And I say print. यहाँ पे phrase की जगह पे कर दिया variable. जैसे ही मैंने v लिखा फौरन से देखें ये IDE ने मुझे ऑप्शंस देने शुरू कर दी, बिकॉज मैंने ऊपर एक वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया, सो इसने मुझे ऑप्शन दे दिया. मैंने यहाँ पे वेरिएबल लिखा, जैसे ही मैं यहाँ पे L लिखने लग जाऊंगा देखिएगा it again gives me this option lower. So I just click on it and I run it. And because इसमें देखेंगे capital letters भी हैं, but when I run it in the console it comes out as Hassan Time. Say I write it like upper, phrase dot upper, right? And then I run it again. So it turns every thing within the string into an uppercase. Okay, so then what I do is that say I write down is upper. I'm asking Python, is it in uppercase or not? आगे वाले मैंने remove कर दिए सारे, is upper रखा सिर्फ open close parenthesis, right? These are parentheses are empty, कोई मसला नहीं है. False. Why? Because पूरा का पूरा हमारे पास वो नहीं है. But say if I remove this and write like this, right? And I run this, it says true. So basically, these are some of the commands that you guys can run with any variable that you create. मैंने already ये chat box में भी share कर दिए. Now length. So say I want to print length. So think of it like this. Here you go. Length की command के अंदर क्या आता है? पहले आता है length. तो let me remove this. So write on print, open parenthesis, then length. अच्छा, जैसे मैं लिखता हूँ ना यहाँ पे, I come here and say len, खुद से option देगा मुझे. So I click on length, then I open parenthesis and यहाँ पे मैं लिखता हूँ variable, because मैंने तो अपना variable बनाया ना. You can name your variable anything. मैंने तो सिर्फ आपको बताने के लिए variable है, इसका नाम variable रखा है. So it says 5. It basically tells me that by the length of your variable is 1 character, 2 character, 3 character, 4 character, 5. Okay, now there were other things that we covered as well. Phrase, क्या आगे हमने लिखा था, ये print, ये रहा. Print क्या variable, and then यहाँ पे हमने block bracket open किया, block bracket. In that I want to say what is at index position 3. So 3 पे क्या है, देखें 1 पे क्या है A, 2 पे है H, 3 पे है S. Sorry, ये 0 है, 0 पे है A, 1 पे है H, 2 पे है S, 3 पे है A. He's gonna print out A. See what happens. Prints out A. Yes, Dr. Mohammed Zishan, you have a question? Okay, so I hope all of you can. Okay, so can all of you see my IDE? I hope you can. It's okay if you guys feel like this is too much for a day. It happens. इसी तरह से अब ये कमांड है print index वाली ना. Think of it like this. print dot index. Yeah. प्रिंट किया, ओपन क्लोज पैरेंथेसिस किया, वेरिएबल लिखा। वेरिएबल के अंदर फर्दर हमने क्या किया, हमने इंडेक्स डॉट आई एन इंडेक्स, एंड इंडेक्स के अंदर put an n, see what it does. नहीं, because what am I doing wrong? Okay, so the n is capital when we are doing this. So it basically tells us okay, okay, so it tells us okay, where does the phrase start? It starts at position 4. So 1, 2, 3, and fourth position is where the phrase starts. Okay, so then let me stop sharing the IDE and go back here. It's okay if all of this gets to be a bit overwhelming, but I want all of you to practice this. So हमने क्या किया अभी तक कवर? सबसे पहले हमने एक वेरिएबल बनाया. उस वेरिएबल का हमने, because we want to work with strings, so we are understanding different commands that we can do with strings. So firstly we created a variable and we named that variable as phrase. एंड फ्रेज के अंदर हमने इक्वल टू साइन डाली. सो मैंने वहाँ पे वेरिएबल को वेरिएबल लिख दिया, आप लोग कुछ भी लिख सकते हैं. एंड देन वी गेव इट अ सर्टेन वैल्यू. वैल्यू किस तरह से दी? वी ओपन पैरेंथेसिस, इनवर्टेड कॉमास में वी रोट इट डाउन. एंड देन वी हैड the lowercase command, the uppercase command, in which everything was converted to uppercase. Everything was printed into uppercase, right? This remains the same, but the print, the the output, the final product that we see, it comes out as lowercase, uppercase. Is upper command, we asked Python, is it in uppercase or not? Then we did the length of the phrase command. Then we did phrase 0. So what that basically meant was that we wanted to look at index position 0, which was basically the first letter. Then we also looked at index position n, which basically told us okay, where the string started. Replace वाली command हमने नहीं की. Replace वाली command के अंदर basically what you have to do is that whatever variable that you have created, you write down print, then variable name dot replace, and then you open within that variable whatever that you wanna remove, you can remove. This will replace the first phrase with the second phrase. So if you want to replace this with this, and this is all
Hassan, just
about
a
strings.
question here.
Yeah,
Uh, Sorry, Hassan, can you hear me?
GG, I can hear you.
Yeah. So my question is that in when we're saying replace, do we have to number the phrases? As in, phrase 1 is XYZ,
No, no,
phrase 2 is ABC.
नहीं, मैं ये करके दिखाता हूँ. I'll run it so that you understand what I'm saying. So say I develop a variable called as phrase, and then I equal to sign, and then I say I give it Aga Khan University. I'm just running it with you guys. And then I give the print command, and within the print command I say phrase dot upper. Sorry. अब यहाँ पे it's gonna give this simply into Aachen University. It's simple, right? Now say I want to replace this with is upper. I just want to know if this is actually upper. So it says false. No, it is not in uppercase. It's in lowercase. अब मैं क्या करता हूँ कि lower, और यहाँ पे u को बड़ा कर देता हूँ, k को बड़ा कर देता हूँ, and a को बड़ा कर देता हूँ. If I run this, look, even though it's written as A capital, K capital, U capital, but showcases as Khan University, right? So ये तो commands run हो रही हैं, तो कोई मसला नहीं है. इसी तरह से index position, right? So print phrase, and then within that phrase we want to look at index position. So block bracket, and then index position 3. So 3 पे position पे 0, 1, 2, and then there is blank. So देखिए blank आ रहा है. If I say 4, K आएगा. If I say 5, H आएगा. So index position बता रहा है कि किस index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 पे H है. H यहाँ पे show है. So all of these commands are running. मैंने क्या किया? Simply I just created a simple variable. I named it as phrase. I can name this variable anything I like. असल बात ये syntax सही हो, equal to sign सही हो, ये सब हो. ये simple strings के साथ I'm just playing with strings. I hope this was understandable to everyone. इसी तरह से and replace वाली जो command है ना, I will correct it myself. ये मैंने पहले सही की थी, पता नहीं मुझसे अभी I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, but I'll look it up and I'll let you guys know. I'll share कर दूंगा with you guys tomorrow session के अंदर. So that's all about strings. So we understood what strings were, and then after we understood what strings were, so जैसे मैंने string का content भी change कर दिया. I made it into Aakhir University rather than keeping it as a name. So it doesn't really matter, none of that, as long as it's a string. So you replace command with एक, I'll let you know. Next thing is numbers. So numbers, जैसे मैंने बताया था, हमारे पास we have broadly two type of numbers when we are working with Python. ये Python दो type of numbers को recognize करते हैं. एक होते हैं integers. Integers basically क्या होते हैं? Integers are whole numbers. Whole numbers are basically called as integers. And then floats are decimals. So decimals, and these are basically integers. So integers को लिखने का तरीका होता है, हम उससे पहले लिखते हैं int, and then we write down the number, say 1 or 2, say whatever. And then float को भी we write down float, and then we write it down 3.5, 4.7. When we are working with floats, when you're working with decimals, so it's always important that we tell Python that we are working with floats. Otherwise, Python won't know, and Python will consider this as an irregular value if we call this an integer. Similarly, if we can add and subtract numbers in Python, these simple commands, we can multiply numbers in Python, very, very simple commands. And then there's something called as modulo operator, right? So what is modulo operator? Modulo operator is basically, it's a person sign, right? What does that show? Iski example ye, that if we look at 10% 3, what we are basically saying is that 10% 3, what we're basically saying is that 10 divided by 3, so 3 ones are 3, 3 threes are 9. And then what do we get back? What is the remainder? And then 3 ones are 3, and then eventually we have, what is the remainder left? The remainder that is left is 1. I hope all of you understand that, because 10 divided by 3 is 3 with a remainder of 1. So 3 threes are 9, so cut ho jate hain, and the remainder, whatever that remains, so 3 multiplied by 3 is equals to 9. What remained was 1. So the remainder is showcased as with a person sign. So when we write this down, Python understands it, and Python in the output console gives us 1. So this is something called as modulo operator. It's a common operation that is performed in Python programs. It will take the number on the left side and divide it by the number on the right side, and then return the remainder, whatever that is left. There's some basic operations that when we are working with Python that we use, simply addition, minus, and then divide, multiply. We're just going to do that in the IDE just now. And then we can also do modulo operator, and then we can also have multiples, like for example, so ye jo double static hai na, this double static basically means exponent. Exponent means 2 double static. 2 means 2 raised to the power 2. If this was 2 double static 3, it was 2 raised to the power 3, something like that. So this basically shows raised to the power. This is basically showing multiply. Because all of these are numbers, we don't need to put an inverted commas. This is a modulo operator. This is a division, right? And so we're gonna just run this. So let me stop sharing. Say yeah, sure. So we're gonna repeat numbers, and we're gonna repeat strings as well. Don't worry about it. So say I write down print. I hope all of you can see my, and I want all of you to follow this and do it with me, and just print a simple number. Say print 4. So if you're printing 4, you get 4 in the console, right? Now let's make it into a decimal, 4.9. Here you go, 4.9. Now let's multiply this 4.9 with 54. Here you go. Python does that. So you're getting that. These are simply, first we put in a print command, and then we are working with numerics. So if I replace this multiplication sign with a division sign, and then I run, so it divides it. So this is the number that we get, 4.9 divided by 54. And say I replace this modulo operator sign ताकि आपको समझ में आए, इसलिए मैं को आसान यूज़ करूँगा. 10% 3, you can see here, is going to give me 1. Why? Because 3 3 is a 9. What is left here? 9 काट दें अगर 10 में से तो 1 बचता है, तो here you go, 1. So if say I want to have 10 ka cube, so I'll have double static and then 3, and here you go, is 1000. 10 multiplied by 10 is 100. 100 multiplied by 10 is 1000. So we are working with simple mathematical functions, simple numeric functions when we are working with Python. We can work with both integers and we can work with both floats. It's simple numerics. Say मैं यहाँ पे लिखता हूँ 32 and minus 89, close the parenthesis, run the command, negative 57. So you can run any mathematical command you like. Anything that मैं यहाँ से जो लिखा हुआ है ना इसको शेयर भी कर देता हूँ लोगों के पास. अगर किसी को प्रॉब्लम हो रही है मैथमेटिकल, here you go. Simply कुछ ऐसी मैंने कमांड लिख दी हैं, print this, print that, multiply, add, simple commands, simple mathematical commands. There is कोई rocket science नहीं है, बहुत आसान है. You can divide it, you can multiply it. I can do 4 things at a time as well. So 7 plus 5 minus 6 multiplied by 3 divided by 90, and I run it. So I'm running this 4 different mathematical operations, and top of that इसका जो भी result आता है उसका remainder 11.8 divided by 3. So yeah, So you guys can basically run mathematical commands as many as you like. So mathematics is simple. Strings are also simple. Sometimes the strings get a bit complex. So you guys want me to repeat strings? Is that something you guys wanted? Dr. Azim, should we repeat strings or should we repeat the numerics? Whichever you guys want.
I wanted to ask about the module operator. If you could just quickly go through that again.
Sure, sure. So let me just go through it on the presentation.
Uh, and I
Yeah.
was able to run the replace command
So why don't
to
you
try
share your
that.
screen and showcase to us how you ran the replace command? That would be awesome. So just
Uh,
share the screen,
okay,
and
one
that would be
second.
great. So yeah, so Azim just ran the replace command. Let's see what he did. Yeah, Zabardast. Yeah. So basically, you guys can see here. Azim, you want to explain?
So yes, I first wrote text as diagnosis, but it wasn't. It was coming. It wasn't running. But then I changed that to a shorter format, and I put replace before text, after text, and that did it. The one thing I was having, you have to take care of any capital letters in the strings that you're using to replace. That's how I did it. I mean, it
Great.
was. I don't exactly know how I did it, but
Yeah. So basically, this is great because he first created a variable. So the patient has gingivitis, and then he printed text dot replace. So within this variable, replace gingivitis with dry socket. So he first replaced the put in the word that was already there, comma, with what he wants to replace it with, dry socket. That's great. You guys can, as a homework for tomorrow, you guys can create your own replace command for tomorrow. That would be great. So develop a replace command for strings if once you come tomorrow. Okay. So let me go back to the presentation. Like I said, the stuff that we are teaching here is very simple. It's easy to use. We are not teaching rocket science. This is very simple by basic Python tutorial. And even if you are having a problem, it's okay. There are so many online solutions available. We will share with you as well. Today, what I'll do is I'll share with you the whole presentation for all 4 days. So you guys can go through it as if you want to go through it as fast as you like, you can. So we won't stop you from that. Okay, so you said repeat the modulo operator. So modulo operator basically is we use a percent sign, and modulo operator is a mathematical command. What it does is that say we are dividing one number which is on the left side with the other number on the right side. We're using smaller numbers so that आप लोगों को समझ में आए. So if we put in a remainder sign here, it basically tells us so what is the remainder that is left if we divide this number by this. So 3 से divide कर दें अगर 9 को, so 3 3 is 9. So 3 तो बचता है यहाँ पे, लेकिन the remainder is left is 1. So basically 3 multiplied by 3 is equals to 9. सही है. And 9, so अगर 10 में से हम 9 minus करें, that is equals to this is the remainder that is left. So basically it gives us the remainder. The modulo operator command basically gives us the remainder. That's basically what it is. There's nothing more to it. There's some stuff. Yeah. We won't just share the presentation PDF. We'll also share the recording, and हम presentation को PowerPoint में share करेंगे. The reason is I want you guys to even make changes, and you guys have my permission to use this presentation anywhere you like in any forum. So no issue. You can teach as many people as you like with this presentation. You have all my permission. So yeah, go be a Python champ. Why is it that I am willing to give up all of this? Because, well, basically, I learned it. I'm a self-taught programmer, and I learned a lot of these things from the internet, and I got a lot of these things for free. So vice versa. Okay, so then the next thing that we're gonna do is that we're gonna get do something which is called as getting input from user. Um, Now, what is that? Basically, say I want to develop something in which I want the user to give input. The user is someone, say I develop an app, and in that app I want people to write their name, right? So I create a variable. I create a variable which is called as name, and in that variable I give this command called as the input command, and in that is written enter your name. And then I just below that I gave a print command, and the print command says, sorry, here you go. And the print command says hello, and then whatever this variable is printed with it. So it's gonna be fun. I'm just gonna share it with you guys. You guys can run it. It's actually very simple. Here you go. And chat box में भी share कर दिया for you guys. So, and let me go to the Python PyCharm IDE. Here you go. So first, हमने एक वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया नेम इज इक्वल्स टू आई होप ऑल ऑफ यू कैन सी माय पाई चार्ट. हमने एक वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया नेम, उसके अंदर हमने इनपुट की इजाज़त दी है. सो द यूज़र कैन गिव इनपुट टू दिस, एंड इसके अंदर द पर्सन कैन एंटर their name, and then enter your name, and then we have we then give a print command, and in the print command what we're doing is that we are saying write hello and then the name. So यहाँ पे enter a name आया, मैंने यहाँ पे लिखा Hassan, and then I press enter, it says hello Hassan. You guys can do that. You guys have like hello. So yeah, so I hope
Yeah,
all of
so
you
I hope all of you.
can listen to what I'm saying. So what we basically did was that we created this simple input command. We created a variable, and in that variable we created this input command, which was basically simply saying enter your name, and then we left a colon, and then we said print hello, and then print this variable. And this, because this variable comes first, so it says enter your name. So I wrote down my name Hassan, and then it's printing hello Hassan. Who else has printed their name? Can all of you do that? I've shared the command with you guys in the chat box as well. Yes, please, Azim, go ahead.
I just had a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
In all of the previous commands that we've done, there's always something, some word or something that's linking the print command to that. Over here, I can't find anything. For example, input would have been written. It would have been easier for me to understand if that. I don't understand basically how you can go
Yeah,
from
let,
enter
let
your
me
name.
say, let me just do it again. Blank slate, right? Let me do it here. Can you see my screen, right?
Yes.
So let me create a variable, Saina, and the variable I create is hospital, right? And then I put in an equal to sign in it, and then I put in an input command. So I just write down input. When I write down input, look, the ID PyCharm, it actually recognizes it as a command. So I put in input, and in that input, I say name of hospital. So I just say name of clinic, right? so that there's no confusion. And because this is a string, so I will put it in quotation marks, and then I'll put a colon, right? And then in the next line, I write down print. Now it's basically a simple print command in that I tell Python to print what? Print the print this string. The string is the greatest clinic is, right? And then I put in a plus sign, and then I put in the variable hospital, right? And then that's it, I run it. So once I run it, it says name of clinic. So I say name of clinic, uh, University, right? And then I press enter. The greatest clinic is Aachen University. You get it?
Oh, I get it.
अब समझ में आया? देखो सबसे पहले हमने एक वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया, उस वेरिएबल में हमने इनपुट कमांड डाली, तो इसीलिए मैंने ना मैं कोड साथ साथ शेयर करते आता हूँ. Dr. Zishan, okay, great. So you were able to do it later on. So इसीलिए मैं यहाँ पे ना ID पे करके भी दिखा देता हूँ. So I changed. Please mute your mic. So I muted the mic of whoever's mic was open. So yeah, so it's basically, and you can do anything. Input command. अभी हम लोग input command से calculator बनाएंगे. We'll just go through it. Let me just stop sharing this. I hope everyone was able to do it. We just have 20 minutes left for today. So sorry, मैं थोड़ा सा जल्दी जा रहा हूँ, लेकिन I try to go as slow as I possibly could today. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to play a game, which is called as Kahoot. So what you have to do is that your screen, matlab your laptop screen is going to be your classroom screen, and you're going to just keep looking at the classroom screen, and in your phones, you guys are going to type www.kahoot.it. And what we're going to do now is that we're going to play a small game of Kahoot. Okay, so you guys have to go to kahoot.it. I hope all of you can see the browser screen. Great. So once you click on kahoot.it, it's going to say game pin. So the game pin that you guys have to put in is going to show up here right now. This is basically, 6488 8888. So yeah. So now what you do is that you put in this game pin, and then you can put in any name you like, any nickname you want to give yourself. So okay, fine. So we have Amar, at Ali, Sadia, great. Great. So we have Mariam, we have people joining up. We have 9 people here. We need more people. So we have Zishan, we have Maha. You can, if you don't want to use your name, you can use any alias you like. It's up to you. I have seen the weirdest aliases in Kahoot. So you guys have 14 of you are here, and we have around how many? 22 of you. So 13 of you are here. Let's just wait for one more minute, and then, so what are we basically doing? We are going to basically play this game, and we're going to recap everything we did up till now through this game. This is a strategy which is called as gamification. So you gamify the studying part so that it becomes interesting. Abhi tak to boring tha, I understand, but okay, so I think we are stuck at 13. If anyone is having a problem in using Kahoot, it's simple. Just go to joinkahoot.it, or you can download the Kahoot app. App में time लगेगा, just kahoot.it and game pin 648 and then 888. Great. So let's just start. Python day 1, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. How do you write hello world in Python? So a lot of you got that right, and great. So on the scoreboard on top we have Matt, followed by Sadia, followed by Zishan. Okay, next. Uh, Great. So strings are written as follows. Um, so yeah, again, the string, it was a simple string. So how come so many of you got that wrong? Guys, I just have a call coming up. Let me just. Okay, so on top we have Amar, followed by Sadia and then Iman. Great. So next question. Numbers are written as. Okay, so there were actually two right answers in this. So majority of you got this right. Um, why were the other two wrong? Because उन्होंने float के आगे integer लिखा हुआ था, integer के आगे float लिखा हुआ था. So when we have to print out an integer, we write down print, open parentheses, then we write down int, integer, and then we write down the integer, which is basically 1. यहाँ तो decimal के साथ है तो ये float बन गया. Similarly, यहाँ float के साथ ये दिया था, it's also wrong. ये regular है, so we have at first place Amar, followed by Zishan, and then Iman. Okay, Django and Flask. So almost all of you got that right. These are basically frameworks that I use in Python. Think of them like a collection of code that provide a structure for programmers to work in. That's why they're like a framework for programmers to work in. So we have Amar, followed by Zishan, and then Iman. Okay, IDE stands for.
हसन साहब द इशू इज कि ये जो ऑप्शंस है ना, जब मैं कहूट पे हूँ तो वहाँ पे ऑप्शंस आ ही नहीं रहे, सिर्फ 4 कलर्स आते हैं.
हाँ, तो उस पे आपने, तो you have to look at the classroom screen for that.
ओके ओके.
So classroom, जब आप classroom की screen देखेंगे तो वहाँ पे आपको पूरा question नजर आएगा. और
ओके,
अपने
तो स्क्रीन यहाँ पे देखना है और सिलेक्ट वहाँ पे करना है.
या आपका जो लैपटॉप है वो आपकी क्लासरूम की स्क्रीन है, एंड जो आपका वो है योर सेल फोन, इट्स योर.
ओके, असल में मैंने सेल फोन पे ही खोला हुआ है जूम, तो
कोई बात नहीं, बट स्टिल आई थिंक आपकी लर्निंग हो रही होगी स्टिल. असल you know what this is? Kahoot is basically Socratic method of learning. Socrates was a great teacher. He would teach people by asking questions. So
आखिर में जहर का प्याला ही पीना पड़ेगा.
something like that. So hopefully आपको शायद ना पीना पड़े, technology बचा ले. So integrated development environment, that's what IDE is. All of you got that right. So you have Zishan followed by Temia and then Sadia. Okay, following our Python data types. Great, so a lot of you got that right. Numerics are also data types, so ये भी गलत नहीं है. Booleans definitely are if, else, if else statement, and then dictionaries also. So we have Temia on top, followed by Zishan and then Iman. Next up, we have modulo operator. It multiplies, it divides, it adds, or it returns the remainder. Again, a lot of you got that right. How come you guys said divides? Division तो फिर division होगी ना, तो सिर्फ एक static sign. This is a simple mathematical function. Actually, this is not a Python function. It's a mathematical function. So we have Temia and then Zishan, then Iman. And now we come to the last question. How do we get input from user? Again, so many of you got that right. That is awesome. So on third place, Iman, congratulations. Second place, Zishan, congratulations. First place, Temia, congratulations. And then runner up are Matt and Sadia. Congratulations to you too as well. Great. So well played, everyone. So let me just stop sharing this. I hope that was fun from the boring Python lecture. And let me go back to the presentation. So that was a bit of Kahoot. Now, let's build a simple calculator. That's the last task, and then we'll stop here. We'll not do the Mad Libs game. Basically, ये Mad Libs game ये बहुत अच्छा एक प्रोग्रामर है ऑनलाइन, आप लोग जाके देख सकते हैं. उसका नाम है माइक समथिंग. मैंने ना उसका लिंक भी ना इस प्रेजेंटेशन में शेयर किया हुआ है. तो आज जब मैं ईमेल करूँगा ना आपको ये प्रेजेंटेशन, हिज नेम इज माइक डेन. Mike Dane. You can actually look up his tutorials. He has a tutorial for Python basics. It's quite similar to what we are doing. So, and one of the reasons why we are following his is because it's actually quite easy. So, okay. So let's build a simple calculator, and I'm gonna share this code with you guys in the chat box. It's okay, even if you are having any problem in going through the quiz, it is okay. And then what I'll do is I'll take you guys directly to the IDE so that कि हम time save कर सकें. 5:54 हो रहे. Okay. So now what we basically did here was, and I'm gonna show you guys how to create a simple calculator. First, we created a simple क्या कहते हैं, मैं नीचे हटा देता हूँ ताकि और भी सिंपल हो जाए आपके लिए. बस ये सही है. First, we created a simple variable. We called it as num1. सही है. And number1. And हमने उसको दिया value क्या, input. So whatever the user puts in, that is the input. And then we created another variable. We called it as number2. And हमने इसको दिया input, enter another number. So whatever the next number that the user inputs. And then From these two variables, we created a third variable, which was result, and result is equals to num1 plus num2. एंड बिकॉज नम वन इंटीजर है तो हमने इंटीजर रखा. नम वन फ्लोट भी हो सकता है, तो मैंने यहाँ पे इंटीजर की जगह कर दिया फ्लोट, FLOAT. फ्लोट मतलब डेसिमल वाला, तो मैं इन दोनों को फ्लोट भी कर सकता हूँ. ये फ्लोट कर दिया मैंने. एंड देन आई कम टू प्रिंट एंड प्रिंट द रिजल्ट. तो प्रिंट में गए और हमने रिजल्ट कर दिया ये वेरिएबल, प्रिंट ये वेरिएबल कर दिया. सो इफ आई रन दिस, है ना, सिंपल कमांड. यहाँ पे मैं लिखता हूँ 45.67. This is number one. Then I run another number which is 89.43, and then I press enter. Okay, let me check what I did wrong. Let me run this again. So if I say 34, line 4 में issues आ रहे हैं. Print. Okay. I'll tell you what the issue is. The issue is that my P is capital. Yeah. वो command नहीं run हो रही थी. Yeah. Here you go. जब मैं इस कमांड को रन करता हूँ, या सो आई एंटर नंबर 89.899 व्हाटएवर, और यहाँ पे नंबर रन करता हूँ, एंड देन आई रन अनदर 76.90. दिस टर्न्स आउट टू बी 166 बिकॉज ये ऐड कर रहा है. सही, इट्स अ सिंपल कैलकुलेटर दैट वी हैव क्रिएटेड. सही, ये मैं यहाँ पे आपको दोबारा भी शेयर कर देता हूँ. हियर यू गो, चैट बॉक्स में हमने एक सिंपल कैलकुलेटर बनाया है, और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आज जब आप लोग घर जाएंगे तो आप लोग अपनी कैलकुलेटर्स बना के आएंगे. क्रिएट एज मनी, तो यहाँ पे एडिशन है ना. लेट मी रिप्लेस दिस विद डिविजन, राइट, एंड देन आई रन दिस. आई एंटर द फर्स्ट नंबर विच इज 7. आई एंटर द सेकंड नंबर, 7 डिवाइड बाय 2, it shows 3.5. सही है. What if I say multiply? So I put in asterisk and then I run this. So number is 65 multiplied by 2. It's like 130, right? And then what if I put in, say, a double static here? So we have created a simple calculator in which अगर कोई हमारी छोटी सी ऐप है, ये console is like a small app that we have created. तो उसमें कोई रन करे, so say उनका पहले नंबर है 2 and 2 raised to the power 3. So 2 2s are 4, 4 2s are 8. आंसर आ रहा है 8 हमारे पास. आप ये देख रहे हैं. तो ये this is basically a simple calculator that we have created. इसमें हमने एक वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया पहले, उस वेरिएबल में इनपुट की कमांड डाली जैसे हमने पहले सीखा था. फिर हमने एक दूसरा वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया, उसमें इनपुट की कमांड डाली. यहाँ पे कुछ भी लिखा हो फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता, सही ना, बिकॉज ये तो सिंपल स्ट्रिंग है. असल बात ये है कि आप वेरिएबल क्रिएट करें, उसकी कमांड डालें, फिर जो नेक्स्ट आप रिजल्ट वेरिएबल क्रिएट करें, उसके अंदर आप इन दोनों वेरिएबल्स को ऐड करें, मल्टीप्लाई करें, व्हाटएवर जो आपने करना है, एंड देन प्रिंट करें फिर आप इस वेरिएबल को फाइनली हो. सो आई होप दिस मेक्स सेंस. I hope you guys understand this. It's already 5:58. हमने एक मैटलिब्स गेम खेलना था, लेकिन I will leave it up to you. अगर आप बताएं तो मैं वो let me just cover the मैटलिब्स गेम ताकि मज़ा आएगा. Here you go. So मैटलिब्स बेसिकली ये माइक डेन का ही है कि let me just share it with you guys. Go. मैं जल्दी जल्दी कोड शेयर कर लेता हूँ, ये टाइम बच जाए आपका, लेकिन you guys need to go home and practice. So basically, say if there is this there's a simple poem, right? Which is roses are red, violets are blue, I love you, right? This is simple poem. बचपन में सब पढ़ते थे इस तरह की poems. And you guys can create your own Mad Libs game. So Mad Libs में हमने basically क्या किया? That what we did was that we created, ये तो एक simple सी poem है, right? हम इस पोएम को अब क्या करते हैं, मैटलिब्स में कन्वर्ट करते हैं. हम इसका एक जो चीज़ है ना उसको चेंज करते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल कलर जो है ना हम इसमें ऐड कर देते हैं किस तरह से रोजेज आर, और रेड की जगह पे हम रख देते हैं कलर. तो वी कैन पुट इन एनी कलर, एंड कलर में हम इनपुट वेरिएबल बना देते हैं. इसको हटा दिया हमने. सो दिस इज बेसिकली व्हाट यू गोना प्रिंट. वी गोना प्रिंट रोजेज आर रेड की जगह पे एनी कलर. सो कलर का वेरिएबल हमने क्रिएट किया, लेकिन हम कलर खुद से नहीं बता रहे, हम यूज़र को इजाज़त दे रहे हैं कि वो अपना इनपुट खुद कर दे. इनपुट द नेम ऑफ कलर. नेक्स्ट थिंग इज़ plural noun. So next thing is roses are red, violets are blue. तो violets की जगह पे हमने कोई भी plural नाम कर दिया, सही ना? Plural noun can be cars or blue, whatever. And then celebrity. Celebrity की जगह ये कहाँ पे आया? I love you की जगह पे you को हमने change कर दिया celebrities, right? So if I run this game, just a simple poem को हमने क्या किया, Mad Libs कर दिया. So it's basically you using the input command. ये calculator भी आपसे इसीलिए बनवाया और ये Mad Libs command भी आपसे इसीलिए करवाई ताकि आपको input करना है. So say I put in a number, I put in a color. So I say black and cars. Plural noun में मैं cars कर देता हूँ, right? And celebrity में कर देता हूँ Tom Hanks या पाकिस्तानी celebrity कर देता हूँ कोई Imran Khan, right? Yele. So my roses are red, violets are blue, converts into roses are black, cars are blue, and I love Imran Khan. Basically, you can change it to anything you like. So, and you can change this celebrity into any other thing you like. So, this is a simple Mad Libs game. I want you guys to create a healthcare Mad Libs game, and any one of you can. So I'll randomly ask anyone. So what is your homework for tomorrow? And I think आज का हमारा session बस end हो गया. So first thing, you guys will create your own calculator, and we're going to randomly ask one person to share their calculator, and then you guys are going to create your own Mad Libs game. हम आपसे presentation भी share कर देंगे सारी, and with that we'll also share with you guys the recording. And then next thing, Joe, you guys will create your own shape. So homework for tomorrow is basically draw a shape. So you have to draw a shape. This is the homework for tomorrow. And I'm going to randomly ask anyone कि आप दिखाएं अपने console पे आपने क्या shape बनाई. It has to be some other shape other than what we had drawn here. Pyramid और उससे triangle से हट के. Then you have to create a simple calculator, whichever calculator you like, and then you have to create your own healthcare MATLAB game. This is your homework for tomorrow, and that's it. Yeah, it's 6 p.m. हम day 1 को हल्का रखते हैं, so day 1 आपको थोड़ा सा easy आप manage कर पाएं. Day 2 then gets tougher, day 3 more, and then day 4 obviously, because फिर हम Anaconda पे भी काम करेंगे day 4 में. This basically helps you get acquaintance with Python. Once you go through these 4 days, you guys will be able to run your own data frames, develop your own data frame, and then hopefully this will be the bedrock कि अगर आप बाद में data analysis सीखना चाहते हैं, तो you can learn that online from YouTube as well, because आपकी basics develop हो गई हैं. Python की असल बात ये है कि आपको Python की grammar आए, which is the syntax. असल बात ये आपको Python के data समझ में आए, data कैसे होता है, और वो data किस तरह से grouped होता है, structured होता है. So that's it. So now question and answers. Yes, please. If there are no question and answers, you guys can just type out no in the chat box.
Now my question is कि अगर ये कल नहीं होता जो सॉफ्टवेयर डाउनलोड वाला इशू, तो हाउ कैन वी वेरीफाई कि हमने जो किया है वो सही है, जो डाउनलोड है इसका तीनों सॉफ्टवेयर्स.
So, who is having a problem right now? Dr. Farhan, आप को इशू हो रहा है और किसको हो रहा है?
जी, बेसिकली डाउनलोड तो हो गए हैं लेकिन उसमें इंटरप्रेटर नहीं आ रहा, वो कहते हैं कि आपका
समझ गया
इनवैलिड
मैं,
है.
समझ गया. So, let's see. Are you gonna come to AKU tomorrow?
Yes, so what I'm gonna do is कि मैं अपने लैपटॉप में भी डाल दूंगा and then I'll show it to you.
Can you like drop by
Probably
to
132.
yeah, can you just drop by to Ibn Rizwan building in first floor?
Sure. And your
Uh,
office is at the first
जी
floor?
जी, first floor, and you
ठीक
can
है,
just ask anyone, Dr. Hassan, तो वो कोई भी कर देगा.
ठीक है, ठीक
सही
है,
है.
ठीक है.
So
So
you
tomorrow
can
I'll meet you
come to my
before
office.
starting the course. Let's say 2:15, 2:30. कि आप एक नजर देख लें, and that's
Absolutely.
it.
And you can also like just Google this stuff. If you Google this stuff, आपको बहुत आसानी समझ में आ जाएगा किस तरह से आप कर सकते हैं. Just Google it overnight. हो सकता है आपकी
Sure,
Google से ही problem solve हो जाए. I'm not even
sure,
kidding.
sure,
Just
sure.
Google this once. Any other question?
Thank you.
When and where Django and Flask will be used? Okay, so Django and Flask are basically frameworks that are used for development of applications and for websites. So बिकॉज हम बेसिक लेवल पाइथन पे काम करें, सो अभी तो हम वेबसाइट और जैंगो एंड फ्लास्क जो है ना वो ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग में भी यूज़ होते हैं. ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग हम आखिरी दिन कवर करेंगे, लेकिन ब्रीफली. अगेन टाइम बहुत कम होता है. मैं एक्चुअली मैं रश इसलिए नहीं करना चाहता, फिर आप लोगों को समझ नहीं आएगा. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई ट्राई टू टेक इट स्लो. वरना रश भी किया जा सकता है, बट देन देयर वुड बी नो पॉइंट ऑफ दिस. Why are we doing all of this? एक तो ये भी आपको समझ में आना चाहिए. We are doing all of this because we want to create a cohort, a critical mass of healthcare professionals that understand Python. Now, why is that so important? Because हेल्थ केयर को चेंज बाहर से आके कोई डेटा साइंटिस्ट नहीं करेगा. हेल्थ केयर को ऑटोमेट बाहर से कोई आके नहीं, आप लोग ही करेंगे. आप लोग हु आर कमिंग फ्रॉम हेल्थ केयर बैकग्राउंड, तो आपको अपने बैकग्राउंड की तो समझ है, आपको हेल्थ केयर की स्पेशलिटी जिसमें आप लाई करते हैं उसकी तो समझ है, लेकिन आपके पास वो टूल नहीं है टू ऑटोमेट योर स्टफ. सो व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू इज दैट गिव यू जस्ट अ बेसिक लेवल अंडरस्टैंडिंग of that tool. Python is a simple tool. So that's the magic. And what I'll do now is that I'll also share with you guys a WhatsApp group का link. ये हमारा जो previous वाला वो था, जो previous हमारा group था हमारे साथ. So here you go. If you guys click on this WhatsApp group, तो you guys can just copy paste the link. ये एक WhatsApp का ग्रुप है, इस पे हमारा प्रीवियस ग्रुप भी था, आप लोग भी इस पे ज्वाइन कर जाएं, तो हमारे दोनों कोर्ट्स एक साथ इसी व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे आ जाएंगे. तो हम कंटिन्यूसली अपने जो वो होते हैं कोर्सेज होते हैं उसकी आपको यहाँ पे अपडेट भी करते रहेंगे. एंड इफ़ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन यू कैन जस्ट पुट इट इन द व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप एंड आई कैन आंसर रियल टाइम, रात में भी कोई इशू नहीं. So if there are no more questions, then we can conclude today's session. But before we conclude, आपको जो है you have to do a session evaluation. How do you do a session evaluation? So I'll just share the link here and everyone has to do that. So here you go. So इसमें day 1 के ऊपर आपने session evaluation करनी है. ये so जो पहला लिंक है वो तो WhatsApp ग्रुप का लिंक है, और जो दूसरा लिंक है that's basically a session evaluation. So I hope all of you do that. I'm here online for the next I'm here for the next 10 minutes. Um, just please fill the Google form, the session evaluation. Why is it important that you fill the session evaluation? So that we can make changes